Andy Kessler, Silicon Valley, bomb thrower, agent provocateur. Andy, you've done it again in a Wall Street Journal op-ed in response to the current net neutrality impasse. You've said it's time to close the Federal Communications Commission down. Andy, what did you mean by that?
Well, it's past time. It's like rotting cottage cheese in your fridge. I mean, the FCC was founded in 1934 and has always been about allocating scarce resources, whether it was radio waves or TV spectrum, and they've always misallocated. I mean, it's really been more about restraint of trade than anything else, and they're doing it again. Jules Janikowski came out this week with his rules of the road for network neutrality. So the internet should be open and free. Well, of course it should be open and free, but those are meaningless words. In reality, the internet is closed. I mean, try getting some choice with your internet access provider. I'm stuck with Comcast. I can't drop them and go with another broadband company. And it's also quite expensive to build out these internet access systems. And so, you know, I think that we would be much better off. You get all of the network neutrality things that the FCC and the administration wants with competition. If we just had competition for local access and real competition for cellular wireless, we would get everything we want. We would get network neutrality. We would get faster networks every year. We'd get privacy. We would get all these things for nothing and lower prices probably, but we don't have the competition. We're locked into just a few providers because of the FCC, despite what rules they come up with.
So as you've said, network access is expensive to build out, but there are a lot of consumers and consumer groups out there who seem to forget that and think that the internet is free. How can we convince them otherwise?
Well, I mean, one thing is to go look at your bills. I mean, I pay for internet access at home with Comcast. I pay AT&T wireless again, so my iPhone will work. Even though at home I use Wi-Fi through Comcast, AT&T still charges me the $30 a month. I pay again with my voice plan. I mean, they just convert my voice to digital, yet I'm paying $40 a month for 400 minutes, you know, some arcane calling plan. We pay again and again and again for our internet access. And, you know, what everyone's complaining about is gee, Netflix wants to stream us movies and Comcast is going to get deluged with all this extra traffic. And Comcast says, gosh, I'd kind of like to charge people a little more to handle all that traffic. And the FCC basically puts up a roadblock and says, oh, no, that violates network neutrality provisions. But if Comcast charged me more to deliver my Netflix movies, maybe I'd go to their competition and say, hey, I'll use you. But there is no competition. So I'm stuck with Comcast. And once again, the FCC just puts Band-Aids on the problem, you know, different sets of rules, just like they did with TV and radio. And we're going to be stuck with the same dreck that comes out of those industries with our internet access.
What, in your view, is the likelihood that this net neutrality issue, which seems to be the 21st century version of the blob, which never goes away, how are we going to kill it? How are we going to get rid of it and move on? Well,
you know, unless we get a Congress and an administration that is a pro-competition policy-making groups, it's not going to happen. However, there is a piece of good news, and that is the FCC probably does not have jurisdiction to even mention the word network neutrality. A couple years back, Comcast got in trouble because they were throttling BitTorrent traffic. BitTorrent is the file sharing site, whether it's legal files or illegal files, and it chews up tons of bandwidth. And so Comcast used their network management software and throttled it back. Well, the FCC stepped up and said, you're not allowed to do that, and put a cease and desist order. And in April, the district court out of DC, Federal Appeals Court, whatever it was, said, no, you don't have the jurisdiction to tell Comcast what to do. And so Janikowski came out and said, well, I want to change the definition of internet access from a data service to an information service so I can, or vice versa, I forget which way it went, so that I can regulate it. And the district court says, no, you're not allowed to do that. So with his speech last week, he basically kind of fudged things around and said, well, because not everyone has internet access, the FCC still has jurisdiction. And the good news is network neutrality won't happen by rule because of this jurisdiction issue. It will happen de facto if indeed we get a pro-choice, not abortion choice, but pro-competition choice for our internet access.
In overall terms, in terms of the overall competitiveness of the American economy in the 21st century, how important is it to resolve network neutrality and to open up everything for innovation in our technology sector?
I think, the internet and internet access and all these issues are critically important. I mean, it is the creator of both productivity and transformation in our economy. I mean, it's not coming from farm equipment, and it's not coming from bricks and mortar retail stores. It's going to come from internet and applications and mobility, and layer on the social networking features for providing recommendations, et cetera, et cetera. It is critically important. But I think if network neutrality provisions are put in, it will stall the development of faster and faster networks so that we can have more interesting and more productive and more transformative applications on our computers and on our smartphones. And the reality of it is when I say transformative, usually who is transformed are the companies that are providing our internet access today. I want AT&T Wireless transformed. I want Verizon transformed. I want Comcast transformed. But they are the ones that hire the lobbyists that whisper in the ears of the FCC commissioners to put in rules and regulations that freeze things over, because they're very happy to make huge margins on the 5 megabit internet access that they provide us today, when in reality we should all have 10 megabit, 50 megabit, 100 megabit internet access. And instead we're stuck with, based on a set of rules and a restraint of trade that the FCC imposes, with I think 1990s technology, when it's almost 2011.
Andy, final question: is it true that your upcoming book in February of next year is called "Eat the FCC"?
It's called "Eat People," but people at the FCC would. There's a big section on government employees, and those are the types of people that you should eat. So if you would like to, get a magic marker and take my book and cross out people and put FCC, I'd be more than happy for you to do that.